We are live with another episode of the EventBuzz podcast by Purplepass. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Savannah McIntosh, and on this podcast, we are talking about all things events, getting insider tips, tricks, and insights from industry experts and professional event planners. Our guest today has spent years in PR and then as the director of marketing at Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. Later, he and his partner opened an event marketing agency in New York, which down the road sold to Allied Global Marketing, and they then became Allied Experiential. Over the past 7 years, they have gone on to produce award-winning consumer experiences and experiential campaigns for clients including Netflix, Amazon, American Express, and other major brands. Our guest, Matthew Glass, joins us today to share his experiences in the industry as well as their shift from live events to virtual ones, with insider tips on generating brand awareness and sales. Okay, hi, Matthew. Thanks for coming on the show and taking the time out to join us today. How have you been doing?
Great, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you today. And before we get going, let's just introduce yourself to the listeners so they know who's talking, a little bit about what you do, and maybe something about, Allied Experiential and what the company does.
Sure. Well, my name's Matthew Glass, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Allied Experiential. And we are the event marketing division of Allied Global Marketing, which is a big international marketing agency. And we produce events and experiential campaigns, live and virtual, for our clients. And that encompasses a lot of different things, which is what makes it an exciting job. We're always coming up with new and interesting ways of bringing our clients to market, whether, again, that be live or virtual, engaging consumers in all kinds of interesting ways. And we can talk a little bit about some of the ways we do that.
And for the listeners that might not be aware, when you say experiential campaigns, can you just briefly describe to them, define experiential and what type of experience that is?
Sure. The terms change over the years.
Yeah.
It was event marketing when we began, but it's expanded. So it's really face-to-face and, brand engagement. It's our clients want to get in front of their customers. They want to sample their products. They want to create some connection with their customers and with their clients. They might want to drive viewership of a show. A lot of our clients are entertainment clients. A lot of the cable companies, or Netflix and HBO and the film studios. So, sometimes it's about generating, buzz for an upcoming program. Oftentimes PR and social media now is a big KPI for these programs. One of the big goal, is generating as much awareness of something as much as it is putting products into people's hands and having them experience them. So, it can take the form of a big stunt in Times Square, or it can be a tour that goes across the country, a mobile tour, a pop-up store, something in the park, or, at the beach. Anytime you see some sort of promotional event happening, that's what we do.
Yeah. And then we've all experienced that, like you said, anywhere, at the mall, anything. Tell us a little bit about the company's journey this past year. I mean, since hands-on is not really a thing right now. So I'm curious what you guys have been doing.
Yeah. Words like hands-on and face-to-face and one-to-one are really selling these days.
I know.
Yeah. So it's been a tough year for everybody in the event business. And we've managed to stay alive and, keep our team busy by pivoting to virtual, which, that's kind of the word of the year is pivoting. Figure out, how to engage people online and how to do it in a way that is, entertaining and still, getting the message across. We're lucky in the sense that we had a number of programs that were slated for last year, tours for brands. Then we were in the middle of, we were going to be starting in the spring when this all hit in February. Everything got pulled, but there was still an investment and a need to be out there for those clients. And so we had the opportunity to sell in these live stream events. So basically creating the event in an isolated private environment without a crowd and basically broadcasting it for people to tune in and experience it that way. And definitely a learning curve. And it's something that, after doing 6 or 7 of these for different brands, is sort of now a new sort of offering that we have, for the agency, so it's now something that, has its own value and in some ways, has got benefits that live events don't.
Yeah. And so are you guys really just focusing and doing virtual events right now, or have you kind of started seeing a shift back to in-person experiences or experiential, campaigns, or is it just online?
It's been a weird roller coaster trying to follow, the guidelines, for safe live events, between the differences in the states, between the, periods where the virus seemed to be, up and then down and up and down. And, can't tell you how many times we would, say we'll be fine by June, we'll be fine by September.
Oh, yeah.
So the planning has always been very difficult, but there have been times over the past year where we were doing some retail events, some live events with very controlled crowds and with all of the sort of COVID protocols in place. One of our clients is Amazon, and there are Amazon bookstores around the country. And so one of the things that we have been activating over the past year, again, in certain markets at certain times, have been these in-store events that we've been doing. And again, it's there's been a real learning curve, and we have experts now in, all the health protocols that need to go into place.
Oh, yeah. There's so many. And like you said, every state is so different. It's crazy. I'm in Texas, right? Well, not right now, but I am living in Texas, but I'm visiting my family in California, and it's just like 2 different worlds. So,
Florida. I was in Florida. Florida's all.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So that's crazy. I can see teams now having different, like a specific role now, just for someone that's like gonna be looking at all the laws and regulations and figuring out what works and what doesn't.
It's very important also for our clients to know that if they're going to put their foot back in the water, if they're going to start to get back to this, that they're doing it in a responsible way. Especially a client like an Amazon or a big company like that. The last thing they want to do is create any sort of negative PR or to do anything that might cause some backlash. So there's a real hesitancy to be the first ones back. Doing things.
And I think that's a good tip too, for event planners out there that are trying to go back to in-person activities and events. I would say, like you said, be really hesitant, cautious, and do your research, because it's better to take it slowly when you go back to things and, become a super spreader. And then you have that negative reputation now. And then it's going to make it even harder to get back into the industry.
It's funny, consumers are much more willing to do it, I think, again, depending where you are. But I think there's a real desire for live events from consumers or for the general public, but the brands have to be extra careful despite the, the need to make sure that it's safe.
I want to ask too, when you guys did it's been a lot. I'm sure you've learned a lot. But if there were any like key takeaways that you've learned from your time when you shifted over from in-person events to virtual events?
It's really a different animal. it's almost, it's like producing an entertainment program. It's been really interesting to see, a lot of the programs that we've done, a lot of it depends on the platform where you are. If you're on Facebook Live, you've got a built-in audience there, or, where your show's going to live, or where your program's going to live is a big piece of it. We did most of our programs on Amazon Live, which is it's really a selling platform for vendors of Amazon. So it's almost like a QVC thing. At least that's how it's been used in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for like unboxing products and things like that. So we had a platform that was very much tied into sales, into retail. So almost like doing it in a store, to do it on the Amazon.com platform. So, so the challenge was to make this, entertaining, to make it more, make it something that you'd actually tune into versus a commercial, right? So we were in a very commercial setting. We had to make this, the challenge was to make this entertaining and to do something more. And so, the first thing we did, of course, is to, find celebrity hosts, celebrity guests. And oftentimes we're doing these out of celebrity homes or in their backyard. That was always a challenge too. The first one we did, we brought them to a location because it was early on, and we were able to have some hosts in a studio, again, working through the unions and working through all the safety precautions of doing that, having limited staff and all of that. And then it evolved into being more of sort of multiple locations and multiple homes, and it wasn't sort of static. It wasn't a singular location. We were able to cut to talking heads in various locations and things like that. And, part of it also is everybody's got Zoom fatigue, so how do you do this without making it look like just a Zoom?
I know.
And, so, for us as live event marketers, we're all about the set, and creating a really cool environment, something that's really, that you can walk into and engage with. Right. So, there were challenges of doing that, so we would create kits or packages and send them home, because a lot of the talent and the influencers and the people that we had, the experts that we had, you can't really bring a crew into their house or build something out too elaborate, Yeah. So it was how do we brand the space and make it interesting and
Oh, so you sent them kits. That's funny.
Yeah, even lighting kits, because again, you want this to look professional. But,
yeah.
Look different than just somebody in their backyard. So I'm sorry, in their home or whatever. So that was part of the challenge. And one of the things that we learned we figured out how to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting when you're talking about like video. I just talked to this other girl, this social media expert. And it's funny because she obviously video is just becoming the best, like the most popular form of content right now. But we were talking about how when we do video, whether it's like ads or events, it has to be, like you said, really captivating, and it has to captivate your audience really fast, because our attention spans are getting so bad. So like you said, you need to set up a good set, or people are it's going to look like a boring Zoom call.
Yeah. And, some of these programs are an hour or 90 minutes long, so that's a long time. And, it's, you don't expect someone to stay the whole time, but you certainly don't, you need to hook them.
You need to hook them, and you need to keep them hooked somehow so that they're on, like, waiting for that one thing that they're trying to see,
Yeah. And so, the other thing is, to keep it moving, not be on a static, one location set.
That's a good point.
It's interesting to see different locations.
Yeah.
And, it's a combination of live stream and pre-shot video, so, we did an event for dog lovers, for pet owners and for dogs, for Purina, for example. And so, we were able to We did a contest where we got content from consumers sent in of, dog videos, which everybody loves, right? So we were able to show that kind of content and mix it up a little bit. We also made a delivery of a donation to a kennel. And so, we could take you outside. It was all sort of pre-recorded. That part was pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm. But at least you're moving different sets and stuff. That's a good
exactly. So, it's visually, it's a little bit more interesting. And, having different segments and saying this is coming up and, sort of to the next thing keeps people captivated.
And would you have any suggestions for people that maybe other events that are working with celebrities or influencers for the first time? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, obviously.
Yeah, well, celebrities are the whole thing. And honestly, some of the bigger influencers are, if I could say, sometimes they're divas and prima donnas too, So, dealing with celebrities is a whole thing, which of course we've always done for live events as well. But now you're talking about going into their homes, and we've been working with some people that this is what they do for a living, is represent these, represent talent and work with them. But they're so important to this, and they're so important in terms of the relationship with the client, and overall you need their goodwill and their blessing. And, so making sure they're happy is a big part of this, needless to say. And oftentimes it's, you're bringing their audience to this first and foremost, right? So you're starting off with so whatever their following is, whoever's following them is going to be your core audience,
Like just influencers alone, like on Instagram and stuff, they bring, it's a powerful marketing tool, but it can be intimidating if you've never worked with them before, because you really don't know how to reach out, where to start.
Yeah. And I would advise absolutely, all of them have managers and agents,
Yeah.
And even the big influencers do, that's oftentimes how you're getting them and making a deal with them. You have to be flexible because you have to respond to their needs. And, some of them want to be more involved in the content than others. So that's something to also, think about before you engage them is, how much are they going to be dictating the content or the messaging versus your client and the brand and things like that.
Yeah. And I would say too, look at their audience is and make sure their audience is the audience that you want to captivate as well.
Absolutely.
So you can get best of both worlds. Yeah.
And then you can cross over depending on how much brand integration or product integration you have, because remember that's what's paying for this is, these things are, branded entertainment basically, right? So there's, if we're doing something about fashion or beauty, we're showing the product and we're talking about the product. And so it's kind of a balance between that and, sure, anecdotes and things like that. So, where does it become endorsement, versus just being a host, for example?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a question I wanted to ask, because influencers, celebrities, working with them, it's a powerful marketing tool, but oftentimes it can be very intimidating, especially for new promoters. Cause like I said, you don't know where to start. And like you said, sometimes they can be divas, or sometimes they can be kind of hard to work with. So back to your guys' events, the live streaming events. And when it comes to marketing live streamed events, that can be, I find that kind of tricky versus in-person events, because I don't know, it's hard to make it stand out from the rest. I'm wondering if you have any suggestions when it comes to marketing a live stream event and pulling content from it, standing out from everyone else in 2021 that is doing virtual events. How do you captivate an audience that's constantly being, thrown all these ads of this event.
So I think that's one of the things that's come out of this, and one of the key learnings, even moving forward, if we look to the future and how these things are going to live on once we're back to quote unquote normal, there's definitely value here in doing these, and the benefits of not only doing the live event, but the reach, the pure reach of doing a live stream in addition to the in-person event. So so that's a definite value, and I think these things will continue. In terms of marketing, I think one of the things that's coming out of this is that the world is just breaking up into smaller and smaller niche groups,
Yeah.
of people with particular interests. So whether you're talking to like dog owners or people that read, want to talk about books, book club, or fashion and beauty is a broader one. But sometimes these things are very targeted, and if you're marketing in a very broad way, yes, you're competing with everything. So that the challenge is, how do you reach that segment that you really want? That's really most likely to tune in and be most interested, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, part of it starts with, if you have the budget to do it and you can do it, is finding, a celebrity or an influencer with a broad enough social media base to bring an audience to it, just based on their involvement.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that if you begin dealing with celebrities or influencers, you're going to have to negotiate their promotion of the event in addition just to showing up.
Yeah.
Right. So, how many posts are they going to do saying, come tune in, and then if you're on a platform like Facebook Live or Instagram or Amazon, it's using the platform to talk to people who are already there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, or that are comfortable going to those sites already.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sending somebody from, that's never been, to a live stream before. So, reaching out to those audiences, reaching out to those segments. These programs all had PR campaigns and social media campaigns, getting different levels of influencers to promote the event in advance, are all ways to be driven traffic.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's crazy because whatever your marketplace is, however niche, there is someone out there, like there's an influencer that most likely matches your brand and can easily help you. But it's just, I would say, if you wanted to work with influencers, celebrities, either take your time out to do the research, make sure that's right for you, make sure you know your audience and what you're willing to negotiate and everything like that, or take the easy route and they can work with you guys and give you guys the work.
We recently did something for the NFL Players Association, which had an annual live event, and this is happening all over the place where, they're not just these, broad consumer promotional things, but even just talking to, specific audiences or more sort of B2B or to a specific group of customers, a limited number of customers. So, that's an event that had been live for years. We had to figure out a way, where, you could virtually go room to room and interact with different people versus, doing it in a live situation. So that was, another challenge. And, after doing it, I think they see that there's the opportunity to get a much, broader and do it in a different way. So while I think it'll come back live, I think there'll still be the opportunity to watch it live stream.
Yeah, I think after this, it's definitely, we're going to see a lot of hybrid events because I've talked to other promoters who did not want to do virtual at all. And then they did it and they're like, wow, I'm reaching so many more people. My revenue's up X percent. So I can see that continuing on. And I do think it's great. I think hybrid events are great, but I'm ready for in-person.
I think everybody is.
Eventually, one day. And it's going to be so weird because we're not really going to know how to act.
That's funny.
I don't know, but I'm glad everything's working out for you guys and you're figuring it out just like the rest of us. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It was brief, but I had a great conversation.
Great. Well, I hope that's of some help. And if there's anything we can do to help anyone that's listening, let us know.
Yeah, I will attach links to your guys' company and what you do so people can learn more. And if they want to just hand off the work to you, there you go.
We're happy to consult and provide whatever guidance we can. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.